The year is 1994. During the Friday free practice session of the San Marino Grand Prix, driver Rubens Barrichello catches a curb going around a corner at 140 miles an hour. The resulting crash saw Barrichello hit a concrete barrier in a collision which caused up to 95 Gs of force to be applied to his car. If that force had been applied to his body, it could have easily killed him. Fortunately, Barrichello survived the incident. However, this was only a glimpse of what was to come at the following race weekend. Formula One cars would have started as what we now consider go-karts. They were small aluminum bodies with motorcycle engines. Early drivers would take these creations out to dirt tracks in the European countryside and just race with their friends. The cars were very makeshift. These races were incredibly unsafe, but the popularity spread like wildfire. Very quickly, individual drivers turned into full-blown race teams with corporate sponsors, and what was once dirt tracks turned into full-blown paved races. Eventually, the FIA, which is like the regulators of the motorsport world, got involved and began supervising races. As the sport continued to grow in popularity and the money began to flow faster, the FIA decided to merge these collections of European dirt tracks into what became a racing series known as Formula One. Big companies such as Ferrari and Mercedes were able to outspend the competition, which led to the FIA introducing regulations in order to make things more fair and to promote competition. These regulations included anything from seatbelts to displacement and horsepower of the engines. The other primary focus was safety. The death of numerous drivers over the course of the first 20 years of Formula One, as well as the famous crash of Niki Lauda in Japan, who suffered horrendous burns, led to the addition of seatbelts and helmets and fireproof race suits in the early 80s. These regulations had a positive impact on the safety of drivers, and several years went by with pretty much incident-free. With this context, we returned to Imola in 1994 for the qualifying race on Saturday. The potential crash and death of Rubens Barrichello had many drivers on edge, and the whole race was nearly canceled due to treacherous racing conditions due to rain and winds. But at the urge of cheering fans and FIA officials who were desperate to make money, the Saturday qualifying continued. It resulted in Michael Schumacher taking pole position for the first two rounds. However, as the third round began, Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger hit a slick spot on the track, going almost 200 miles an hour. He lost traction and flew headfirst into a concrete barrier at the start of turn 3. Ratzenberger was immediately airlifted to the local hospital, but it was too late. The damage to his head cracked his skull, and internal bleeding took his life. At the time, World Championship contender Ayrton Senna reportedly wept, saying, "I cannot quit, I must go on." This unfortunately turned out to be more foreshadowing. In the opening laps of Sunday's race, Ayrton Senna's car experienced a mechanical failure, which sent him into the concrete barrier at turn 3. While spectators remained hopeful, the crash was obviously fatal. Senna is considered one of the all-time greats of F1, and the tragedy is still present in the mind of fans worldwide. The 1994 Imola Grand Prix was one of the most infamous and tragic events in F1 history. And that's all I got.